What's up guys, Jamison Redding here with the Road Trip Angler, and today I'm going to be self-filming as I hit the water and test out the Zman Chatterbait Elite EVO, which is a brand new chatterbait they have out. It's going to be very similar from what I'm told to the Jackhammer, but at a much lower price. So we're going to be testing it out. I've literally got one. It's a 3/8 ounce chartreuse in white with a gold blade, and I'm getting ready to hit the river. So let's see how this thing performs. Excited to try this bait out. It's literally almost half the price of the Jackhammer, which is one of my favorite baits. It comes in at $9.99, and the regular Jackhammer is $15.99, and sometimes I've paid upwards of $17.99. Z-Man did give me this one bait. I have one of them, and that is it. They don't come out till October, and they do hook me up with baits. But when I'm out of jackhammers, I will pay full retail for those. So they're not paying for this video. They didn't sponsor this video. Like I said, I do have a good relationship with them. They have given me baits in the past, and they did hook me up with this lure at iCast. It's the only one I got. But the chatterbait is a bait that I've been very successful with, especially in moving water, current, the types of rivers we have here, especially in the Appalachian Mountains where we have lots of rocks, boulders, ledges, and current. And the reason I like that jackhammer is because it really tends to hunt, which means it digs down and it has this erratic motion, especially when it comes in contact with any kind of structure. So it's definitely the best one that I have found out of all the chatterbaits to do that, and seems to have one of the better hooks, clasp, like the whole thing is just built a little bit better. Got him! Fish on! So I am excited for the potential of a chatterbait that has a lot of those same features, maybe even some improvements in some areas, but comes in at a price point of $9.99. As you can see, they're both very similar in color, shape, size. One of the main differences you're going to see on the EVO is it has the gold blade, and this one has the silver blade. One of the really cool things about this one is they've changed the shape of the head. This head has got a unique design to any of the chatterbaits. And according to Z-Man, that is really supposed to help with how it searches and how it hunts, so that as soon as it hits the water, it begins that hunting motion. The other thing that is unique about this chatterbait, and really any of their baits, or really any hooks or jigs, is that it also has this dual bait keeper or trailer keeper situations. It's got lead with some ridges there, and then you also have this hook. And we'll look at the jackhammer to see the difference there, but you kind of have two things to really hold that bait in place. So we'll take a look at the jackhammer now. So you can see on that right away, you have two of those kind of wire hooks to hold the bait in place, but you don't have that body on the actual hook shank with those ribs on it to hold that plastic. But other than that, these baits look very close to the same to me. The eyes are very similar, or bigger on the Elite than on the Jackhammer, and you can definitely see that profile difference on the bottom there. But we're going to put them through their paces. I'm going to take a razor shad and put it on both baits so that I have the exact same trailer. Yeah, I know I got a GoPro on my head, trying to give you guys more angles. Please forgive the weirdness. But there is the EVO Elite. But for this video, I really wanted to try everything equal across the board. And I'm going to get into that in just a second, because I also am using the same exact rod, the same exact reel, and the same exact line setup, because I really want to be able to feel the difference in these two baits as they go through the water. All right, there we go. Both look pretty similar, huh? Well, we'll see if I can tell the difference. I throw the Rain Shadow Judge blank for my chatterbaits. It's a crankbait blank, meaning it has a little bit more moderate, fast action. It actually transitions from graphite into fiberglass at the end. Same rod, same line. I've got 30-pound Seaguar Smackdown with a 20-pound Seaguar Gold Label leader on both of these. Good fish. In the boat. Woo! Got my first fish on the EVO. It works. See if there's another one up in there. Second cast in that same spot. Oh gosh. Wasn't expecting that. Looks like a good fish. I only got it from one angle. But I would say that it is safe to say you can catch really nice fish on the Chatterbait EVO. That is my best smallmouth so far this year, and it came on the brand new Elite EVO. Woo. That's a big striper, like 12, 13 pounder, maybe more. I'm going right back up there as soon as I land this joker, I'll tell you that. Dang, dude, that is awesome. It's all right though if you can't. Oh, good Lord. Woo, I got wet. Woo-hoo. It's a good striper for sure. Just watch for my rods. I got bogas, I should have just grabbed those. Oh God. Oh my gosh. Yes, sir. I think they like the EVO. I think they like it. That is my first ever striper in the new river. Period. Ever in my whole life. It's a good way to start out though. Look at that thing. He choked it. Good fish. Woo. Oh gosh, I'm gonna fall and kill myself trying to film. Just kidding. I've really been putting this bait through its paces. It hardly has any paint left on the jig head. The skirt's starting to break off. It's because I'm fishing around a lot of rocks and a lot of cover, and I've caught a couple of really nice fish on it. I mean, I got that big striper, caught a big smallmouth on it. So I am really beating it up, and I haven't really been throwing the jackhammer that much because I wanted to test out that EVO and I started catching fish on it. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a few casts side by side. Again, I'm using the Rain Shadow Judge. This is 7-foot, medium heavy with a fast or moderate fast action. Exactly the same setup, same specs on the rod and reel and the fishing line. And that way I can really hopefully feel the difference between these two baits as I bring them through the same area of water. So we're gonna do that now. I'll start by throwing the jackhammer because that's what I'm used to throwing. And I see a pretty good sized boulder out here, so I'm gonna make the cast and see how that feels. Feel it and even see it in that rod tip, especially when it comes in contact, you know, with anything that's sticking up off the bottom. Feels pretty good. Couple casts. We'll do 3 casts with each just so I got a good baseline. All right. Got that. Let's see if I can tell the difference. I don't know. What do you guys think? So right away, one thing I'm noticing, when I'm reeling it kind of through the open water and it's not coming in contact with anything, it feels very, very similar. However, when I bring it across that same rock, I'm getting a lot more movement and vibration in my rod tip. Let's try again. I kind of slowed down a little too much right there. It's very similar. I'm not gonna say this is necessarily a replacement for the jackhammer as far as it being a better chatterbait. It may be hunting a little bit better actually. So in that sense, it may be slightly better. So far, I'm impressed, especially for the price point. And I'll tell you another thing I really like about this. I like that it has a gold blade. But as far as trying to compare the two, I would say it's very similar action. It's definitely different than like a Project Z or something, which I feel like has a tighter swimming pattern. This does have that same or similar vibration as the jackhammer, but it may be hunting a little bit better. My jackhammer is still pretty new and this one's starting to get beat up because I've been casting it and reeling it a lot, but I'm gonna say it's just getting broke in. All right, I'm gonna wait out here a little bit and see if I can't drag both these through the water side by side. It's a little hard to do, but I'm gonna try to do it. Hopefully you can see that. They look very, very similar. I mean, they feel identical. We're gonna head on down the river and see if we can't catch a few more fish with this guy and really test that durability. I will say I was very impressed with how this chatterbait hunts, meaning as soon as it hit the water, it really started to have that erratic movement. And when it came in contact with those rocks and those boulders and logs and things that were on the bottom of the river, it really had that erratic darting action as it skirted around those things, which is what I think oftentimes will trigger the bite, especially if those fish are hiding or using those things as cover and hiding on the down current side of them. So as that comes across with that erratic movement, that's when it's going to trigger that strike. I will say that I have beaten the living crap out of this jig head. It has no paint left, but you know, that just comes from me casting it around a lot of the cover. I was also casting it up against the dam that we were fishing below and against the rocks and letting it slide in. You know, that's not really a fault to this bait that it has no paint left. I think the coating was just as good, if not better, than any of the other chatterbaits. The blade held up, the snap held up to a couple of nice fish, and I really was impressed with how well my bait stayed in place. The hook stayed sharp. It's still pretty sharp even after beating it up on rocks and catching a few fish. The only thing I could say, if it's a negative at all, and really I would need more time with more of these to really compare, is that I don't have a whole lot of the skirt left, especially on the white side. So the chartreuse side seems to be only missing a few pieces. The white side, as you can see here, is missing several of these little guys right here, but they just tend to break off from catching fish, but also just from beating it up on that cover and the rocks that I was casting around. I don't know if there's any real difference between the skirt material between this and a jackhammer, or if there's any real difference between the skirt when it comes to the colored skirt versus the white or the pearl skirt, but I will say there's not a lot of the white left and there's a lot of the chartreuse left. My jackhammers also, the skirt will tend to break off over time. Now, my question really is more, did this happen a lot quicker with this bait than it does with the jackhammer? Am I getting a better quality or more durability with the jackhammer? And I think I'm gonna need more time to really make that decision. I would love to have a 1/2 ounce in the river. Of course, that's gonna get even more in contact with the structure. The area we were fishing was shallow, so the 3/8 worked fine. But normally in those deeper cuts in between the rock ledges and stuff, I like to have that 1/2 ounce to really get it down closer to the bottom and staying in contact with the bottom of the river. I think this is a real big win. It definitely hunts better than any of the other chatterbaits, with the exception of the jackhammer, and it may actually hunt slightly better and have a little bit more erratic movement to it than the jackhammer, and maybe that's due to the shape of the jig head itself. When it comes to the vibration that I felt in the rod when I was just reeling it, it seemed very similar. When it came into contact with structure, however, that's when I could really kind of tell a little bit of a difference in how it interacted with that cover. So give it a shot. Tell me what you think. Also, let me know in the comments what videos you would like to see as I try out other baits and other lures, and let me know if this review was helpful to you. Please subscribe to the channel if you like this content as well. And as always, thanks for watching. Road Trip Angler would like to thank our global partners for helping support the mission to get people outside and on the water.